Blackwood Hostel was notorious in the small town of Ravenhurst. Once a prestigious boarding school for girls, it had been converted into a hostel for travelers and students. Over the years, it had gained a dark reputation due to a series of inexplicable events and disappearances. Despite this, the allure of cheap accommodation kept its rooms occupied. In the winter of 2019, a young woman named Sarah arrived at Blackwood Hostel. She was a graduate student working on her thesis about urban legends and haunted locations. Intrigued by the hostel's notorious history, she decided to stay there for a month to document her experiences and research the truth behind the legends. Sarah arrived on a cold, foggy evening. The hostel's Gothic architecture, with its spires and gargoyles, loomed ominously against the darkening sky. She checked in with a manager, Mrs. Whitaker, an elderly woman with a stern demeanor and piercing blue eyes. "Are you sure you want to stay here, dear?" Mrs. Whitaker asked, her voice laced with concern. "This place isn't for the faint-hearted." "I'll be fine," Sarah replied, trying to sound confident. "I'm here to research the hostel's history. I'm not afraid of ghosts." Mrs. Whitaker handed her the key to room 213, the corner room on the second floor. "Stay close to your room at night, and if you hear anything strange, just ignore it. It's best not to wander the halls after dark." Sarah nodded, a chill running down her spine. She took her suitcase and climbed the creaky staircase to her room. As she unpacked, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. The room was old but clean, with a large window overlooking the courtyard. The furniture was antiquated, and the wallpaper was faded and peeling. That night, Sarah settled into bed, her laptop open beside her. She began to write about her first impressions of the hostel, noting its eerie ambience and the strange feeling she couldn't quite explain. As she typed, she heard faint whispers coming from the hallway. She paused, listening intently, but the whispers stopped. Convinced it was just her imagination, she continued writing. Around midnight, she heard the whispers again, this time louder and more distinct. They seemed to be coming from right outside her door. Her heart raced as she got up and opened the door, but the hallway was empty. Feeling unnerved, she closed the door and locked it. She tried to convince herself that it was just the old building settling, or perhaps other guests talking. But deep down, she felt a growing sense of dread. The next few days were filled with strange occurrences. Objects in her room would move on their own, and she often felt a cold presence behind her. She heard footsteps in the hallways at all hours of the night, even when she knew she was the only one on her floor. Her sleep was plagued by nightmares of being chased through the dark, labyrinthine corridors of the hostel. One evening, she met another guest, a young man named Alex, in the common room. He was also interested in the hostel's history and had experienced similar disturbances. They decided to investigate together, hoping to find a rational explanation. They discovered an old newspaper article in the town library that detailed the history of Blackwood Hostel. The building had once been the site of a tragic fire in the 1920s, which claimed the lives of several students and a teacher named Miss Haversham. The teacher was said to have gone mad before the fire, claiming to hear voices and see apparitions. Some believed she had started the fire deliberately, trapping herself and the students inside. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Sarah and Alex decided to hold a seance in room 213. They gathered candles, a Ouija board, and some old photographs they had found in the library. As they sat in a circle, the room grew colder, and the air became thick with tension. Sarah asked, "Is anyone here with us?" The planchette moved slowly, spelling out, "Yes." "Who are you?" Alex asked, his voice shaking. "Miss Haversham," the board spelled out. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you want?" "Justice," the board replied. "The truth must come out." Suddenly, the candles flickered and went out, plunging the room into darkness. They heard a blood-curdling scream, followed by the sound of heavy footsteps running down the hallway. The door to Sarah's room burst open, and a cold wind swept through, knocking over the photographs. In the dim light from the hallway, they saw the ghostly figure of Miss Havisham standing in the doorway. Her eyes were hollow, and her face was twisted in anguish. "Help me," she whispered, her voice echoing in the darkness. Terrified, Sarah and Alex fled the room and ran down the stairs, but the hostel seemed to shift and change around them. The hallways twisted and turned, leading them in circles. They could hear Miss Haversham's voice growing louder, filled with anger and despair. They stumbled into the basement, where they found an old charred diary belonging to Miss Havisham. The final entries revealed that she had been tormented by the spirits of the students who had died in the fire. She had tried to save them, but the voices drove her mad, and in a final act of desperation, she set the fire to end the torment. As they read the diary, the basement doors slammed shut, and the temperature dropped even further. The shadows in the room grew darker, and the whispers turned into screams. The ghost of Miss Havisham appeared before them, her eyes filled with a mix of sorrow and rage. "You must help me find peace," she cried. "Tell the world the truth." In a desperate bid to survive, Sarah and Alex promised to tell her story. The ghostly figure nodded and began to fade, but not before whispering, "Beware the others. They are not at peace." As the ghost vanished, the basement door creaked open and the oppressive cold lifted. They fled the hostel, vowing never to return. Sarah and Alex published their findings, revealing the tragic history of Blackwood Hostel and the tormented spirit of Miss Havisham. Their story gained widespread attention, and the hostel was finally closed down and condemned. However, the experience left them scarred. Sarah was plagued by nightmares and a lingering feeling of being watched. Alex, though relieved to have survived, could never shake the memory of the hollow-eyed ghost. The legend of Blackwood Hostel continued to grow, and the building stood as a dark reminder of the horrors that lay within. Those who dared to enter were warned. The spirits of the past still linger, seeking justice and revenge, and the echoes of their torment can still be heard in the cold, dark corridors.